Hi everyone. So this is my story about how I became a Christian. Although it's not really that kind of story because I actually don't know when I became a Christian. I was brought up in a Christian home, and I just think I naturally presumed that I was a Christian when I was a toddler at some point, and never actually did a specific commitment thing. I baptized myself in my bath when I was about 5, so it must have happened before then. Yeah, so that was kind of the Christian becoming a Christian bit. But what I'm going to talk about more is about how God um, became very real to me and very personal to me, and that happened when I was 15 years old. Um, just to backtrack a bit though, my childhood was quite challenging and maybe a bit different in lots of different ways. But just a couple of things to mention. I very much lived in my own little bubble, my own little world. I didn't really do school. School was not my thing, and I did my best to get out of it as often as possible, and I was very good at doing that. So instead of going to school, I would just permanently be watching TV, and I was literally inches away from the TV screen, like all day, every day. And if I wasn't doing that, I was daydreaming, and if I wasn't daydreaming, I was sleeping. That was my life. And then um, the other thing was I did have a genuine like belief in God and faith in God, but it wasn't like a deep relationship or anything like that. It was more I saw God as a God who, like, I asked for things and He did them. So, dear God, please do this, Amen. That kind of vibe. Um, and but I did have a belief that God was able and would um, make my life what I wanted it to be one day. I really did. I believed that somehow God was going to step in and make suddenly make my life beautiful and brilliant, and all my dreams would come true. Call it naive, but for all the naivety in that, it actually really helped me in my childhood to get through a lot of stuff. Was that hope that one day it was going to be amazing. But when I was 15, that bubble that I was living in well and truly burst. And it happened when I was getting my mock GCSEs, because the kind of the bare minimum of what I wanted to happen to make my life good was to get good GCSE results. I mean, that was just like the starting point. And I got my mock GCSEs back and they weren't good. And it was absolutely the bursting of a bubble. And it just really shook me to the core. And I was like, oh my goodness, what if this isn't going to happen? What if my life isn't going to get better? What if, and it absolutely wrecked me. And I remember the night of that, I cried out to God. I went to my room. It was the first time ever I'd cried out to God with my whole heart. And I don't know what I said, but it definitely included help and maybe a sense of, God, are you real? But also help. And nothing dramatic happened that night at all. But the following day, I went to a Christian conference and was there for about a week. Came back. Nothing dramatic happened there. But what happened when I came back was I made a decision that I was going to stop watching TV. And I did. I made a decision I was going to stop listening to secular music, which I did. And I stopped doing that for probably the next 2 or 3 years. I also decided I was going to start praying, which I'd never set aside time to do that before. I remember my first time and I put 10 minutes aside to pray, and it was super awkward. I didn't really know what to say or what to do, but I somehow stumbled through it. But that 10 minutes that day just grew every single day, and I spent more time with God and more time in His Word and more time, a lot of time reading books about God, um, and slowly but surely I was changing. And so actually the miracle seemed very subtle, but it was just life changing. That the biggest miracle of all was not that He changed my circumstances overnight, but that He changed me. And He enabled me to get out of this rut that I was in about my lifestyle, and I did really start to change, and I started to develop a relationship with Him, and that journey I've been on ever since. And a lot has happened since then, as you can imagine. But yeah, that was the time when my life really changed. So I hope that's encouraging, and I hope yeah, that you have a really positive Christmas and a blessed New Year.